Hi guys, I hope you are well and coping okay with the remote learning. I just wanted to get in touch to have a chat about what it is we're going to be doing over the next couple of lessons and just put this very quick video together to make sure for Wednesday's lesson and Thursday's lesson we know where we are at. So we're drawing to a close on US society in this time period, and you may remember we have already looked at immigration. We have looked at urbanisation, excuse my handwriting. And we have looked a little bit, you've made some notes on the divisions in US society at this time, as well as having planned those interpretations and written extract A. I will be getting that back to you along with your essay on the economy in the next couple of days, just after I've settled into some of this remote teaching bits and bobs. So that's what we've done so far. And we now have just a few topics left to look at, the first of which we will be doing over Wednesday and Thursday's lessons. And that is the topic of African Americans. So that's going to be the next couple of lessons. When we come back after Easter, we have just a little bit to do, and that's going to be the impact of World War I on various groups in society, including women, African Americans again. But we're also going to look at various events like the Red Scare and the fear of communism. And once we've done that, we'll wrap it all up together to look at society as a whole, probably about a week in after Easter. So that should be an idea of just where it is we're going. So in terms of us looking at African Americans, we should be looking at your section of the sheet that starts with this very long article. This is actually a really fantastic article, so please do read it very carefully. And it follows the experience of William Fonville, who's an African American student, and talks through kind of his experiences of changes in society between 1890 and 1920, specifically with regard to African Americans. But you will notice all the way through it, there are, and it pleases me greatly, quite a large number of statistics about the experiences of African Americans at the time. So the number of lynchings at the time. It's also got some really excellent statistics on the economic experience of African Americans. There's various bits on education, there's various bits on political disenfranchisement. So what I've asked you to do with this article is essentially just go through in two colours, and in one area, anything that suggests African Americans made progress is what we want to look at, and then in a second colour, anything that suggests problems. If I were you, I would also probably look to split this up where you can make notes next to it and where it's political, economic and social. And it may even be sensible, should you wish, to, once you've done your highlighting of this, actually just create a separate document yourself that has the positives and the negatives, and for you to jot down all the statistics there. But it is, as I said, a really good article with lots of information there for you. So I would suggest you spend a good chunk of Wednesday's lesson going through that article and making summary notes from it, as well as moving on to just a few notes from the textbook here on lynching, politicians, mobs and voting rights. And I have put the page numbers there for you to be using. It does require both AQA and HODA. So for the end of Wednesday's lesson, this is the point I would imagine where I would roughly expect you to be. So then as we move into Thursday's lesson, we are going to look at two key figureheads of, it's not really the civil rights movement, but maybe the kind of early civil rights movement. Two key leaders of what became a bit of a black rights movement at the time, one of whom is Booker T. Washington and the other whom is W.E.B. Du Bois. They really are very important characters in our course and were at the time, so I'd like you to find a little bit of information about them. The first port of call is obviously your textbooks, and I have put the page numbers for this in my message to you, but also please go away and use the internet. There's absolutely tons on them, so the more detail you can get about these key areas, the extent of success, what they achieve. So there's Tuskegee Institution for Washington, Du Bois's work with the NAACP, his work during the First World War, writing a magazine called The Crisis and all of the impact that has. The NAACP actually manages to overturn the grandfather clause, which you may come across in 1915. So there's lots of information you can find on them, so please do some extra research where you can. I have then provided for you a reasonably terrible, well, that's not strictly true, a very factually accurate and detailed essay that I wrote at A-level, comparing the two of them with possibly the world's most appalling judgment. Feel free to completely disagree with me. It was more just to give you some ideas of other people's opinions, because that's what I had to include, and a few more facts there for you. So at the end of Thursday's lesson, that's where we want to be. We want to have finished our research on these two characters, and we want to have read through that article and finished off African Americans. And that's where we will leave it before Easter. Enjoy.